Around the world and in Australia, our experience around prohibition hasn't been a good one, and I think that the evidence is building that we can't police our way out of drug problems. So I think the case for prohibition as a sort of fix-all strategy around the world has been gradually weakening, and people are looking at other ways of reducing and minimising the harm from drugs, and that includes both greater education and greater treatment options, and from a legal perspective really trying to regulate drugs in line with their harm.
So as far as illicit drugs go, prohibition, in my opinion, is a really outdated way of managing the issue. Essentially, people with drug problems are going to access this by however they can, and unfortunately, with illicit drug use, there's a lot of crime related and prostitution related to the use of illicit drugs. So I certainly think that prohibition of the drugs hasn't provided the answers, and it's a very politically sensitive area, but we clearly need to have a review of how we're managing drugs in the community as a whole and the impact it's having on society.
Prohibiting people from using certain drugs does not work. I mean, you'd have to be an idiot to think that making a law against certain activities, banning an action that hurts no one except the actor themselves. Now, those sort of laws do not work. Now, how do I know they do not work? Well, the facts speak for themselves. Australia has had the prohibition of cannabis for the last, at least in aggressive form, let's say 50 years, since about 1971 when Richard Nixon advocated upping the ante in his so-called war on drugs. Here we are, 55 years later, 2016, with 2 million Australians using cannabis regularly. Now that's a government survey, that's not me doing a straw poll at pop concerts. This is a health department government survey that says that 2 million Australians use cannabis regularly.
So I think taking cannabis off the prohibited list certainly would bring some benefits to society. We've known for many years that cannabis and some of its components can be useful in palliative care, helping people manage their pain and appetite with cancer and other things. We know that there's been some real positive benefits from cannabis with seizures and other diseases, and I think in the next 5 to 10 years there'll probably be a whole lot of other benefits around the medical use of cannabis.
The truth is that prohibition puts our young people in harm's way. They're going to take illicit drugs anyway. We know that. There's not a shadow of a doubt. And what the prohibition does is makes it much more dangerous for these young people that are going to experiment with drugs to get in trouble. Not only the quality of the drugs that they're taking can't be vetted and checked, but when they do try and seek help, if by chance they do get in trouble using drugs, then the illegality, the criminalisation of it, is a barrier to them seeking help.
I don't actually think that decriminalising drugs itself would reduce addiction, but the dollars that you might save from spending less on policing and trying to control the supply of drugs could be much better spent on treatment, prevention, education, harm reduction programs, and those are the things that have been seen to be effective in terms of actually treating and working with addiction. and I think you'd free up a lot of resources and divert a lot of people away from the criminal justice system, which is really expensive. So it's not the decriminalising drugs itself, but really the resources that could be better spent on a whole range of other programs, which at the moment receive really small amounts of funding compared to the policing.
You could certainly have organisations that would be government run, that would be a broad, multi-centred sort of group of people that were involved in rehabilitation, but it would also include people like psychologists, social workers, drug and alcohol workers, and it'd be a fantastic chance to offer people help so that they could manage their addictions, but also manage all their underlying conditions, and in the end, you know, you fix a large part of society's problems.
Pill testing in nightclubs is an essential element of minimising harm in the current prohibition. It's been implemented in Europe, certainly in the Netherlands, where they actually have hospitals where you can go and get your pill tested. They have pill testing facilities on site at festivals, and people that get a negative result from their pill testing have been known to throw the substance away. You know, drug taking is a rational pursuit. You know, you get somebody to supply you with a drug that you particularly asked for, you have some knowledge of the effects of it, and then you just hope, against hope, that it is what you wanted it to be. And if pill testing would give that certainty, then people would certainly use the drug and then perhaps not use the drug if it wasn't considered safe. So it's a solution to people dying from unknown adulterated drugs.
People often assume that we should all be working towards a drug-free world or a drug-free Australia, and personally I think if we did that, we take away people's ability to have pain relief during surgery, recovery in surgery when they're injured. We take away the opportunity of people to come together over a meal and enjoy social use of alcohol. We need to be mindful that all drugs, whether it be caffeine or illegal drugs, amphetamine, heroin, have their potential for harm. But most of those will also have some potential beneficial use in society, and it's really only regulation of those drugs where we can both take advantage of their benefits for medicine and socially and really minimise the harm, because I think the approach that we've taken with prohibition of so many drugs just simply hasn't worked.